As you can see, cryptography is a way that we can conceal data from unauthorized access. It is not a new concept, but rather an age-old study that has evolved into a tremendously helpful aspect of security that helps us function safely and securely. Cryptography, along with a similar area of study known as cryptanalysis, are actually a subset of a broader study known as cryptology. Cryptology is the study of encryption and decryption. Cryptography and cryptanalysis are very similar in name, but they are certainly two different areas of study. Let's explore each briefly. Cryptography, or encryption, is the process of converting ordinary messages or data, also known as plain text, into something that is not obvious or unintelligible. This type of unintelligible writing is known as ciphertext. Cryptanalysis is the process by which we change ciphertext into readable text again without the knowledge of how that person encoded the information in the first place. This process is the way by which a person or system cracks a code. You should not confuse cryptography with cryptanalysis, because the method by which this person is decrypting information is completely different. Where a person undergoing cryptography is using the proper procedures, someone undergoing cryptanalysis is doing this by force. Cryptography, as you've read and as you've seen in the video, is one of the strongest tools that we have in our arsenal to protect against unauthorized viewers. Encryption helps us protect our important information and sensitive data as it travels, and it can also help us protect data at rest, like with our sensitive files on our computer. Cryptography is a very advanced area of study that requires a lot of technical know-how. Before we can look at this type of a protection on a much deeper level, we must first take a look at some important terminology and information associated with this area of study. Cryptography is a word that is translated from Greek to mean hidden writing. With cryptography, the hidden writing comes in two forms. These are called codes and ciphers. A code is a type of secret writing where we substitute a word to mean something else. A great example of the way that codes are used in practice today is the United States Secret Service's use of code names for U.S. presidents, their families, and other high-profile people. Originally, these code names were used in place of real names over the wire to protect the physical safety of individuals. Generally, families will have names starting with the same letter. As you see in the picture here, the Obama family had names that began with the letter R: Radiance, Renaissance, Renegade, and Rosebud. Today, these code names are used more often out of tradition, but are fascinating to read about. I've included an optional reading from Wikipedia that lists all of the presidential code names that have been in use since they were first implemented. While codes are fascinating to talk about, and, like with Secret Service names, have lots of interesting history, the type of secret writing that we're going to spend the most time discussing and utilizing are ciphers. Ciphers, unlike codes, are algorithms or sets of rules that allow us to encrypt or decrypt messages in a certain methodical way. Some of the earliest ciphers date back to 1900 BC with the use of hieroglyphics. Many people cite to this type of writing as a cipher because it has a method for communicating a language through a variety of symbols. It's interesting to note, however, that the messages left by the ancient Egyptians were unintentionally encrypted. Because this language was no longer in use, it was up to archaeologists to try and decipher what these messages meant. It wasn't until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone when historians were able to understand and decipher some of the messages that were written in this language. Another example of a cipher is a Spartan citadel, or sometimes they pronounce this skytail. This was a piece of cloth that was wrapped around a spear and was used to communicate messages in secrecy. Here's a video of a skittily in action.